Did you know that studies show up to 40% of people feel awkward or anxious in social situations at some point in their lives? Whether it's starting a conversation at a party, speaking up in a meeting, or even just making small talk with a stranger, social anxiety is a shared human experience. But what if I told you that two ancient philosophers, Epictetus and Seneca, had already cracked the code on how to navigate these situations with calm confidence? Imagine walking into any social event, whether it's a gathering of close friends or a room full of strangers, and feeling completely at ease. If you've ever felt awkward or uneasy in social situations and want to learn how to manage those feelings, stick around because Stoic wisdom has the power to transform your social experience. We live in a world where social interaction is constant, whether in person or online. And yet, despite being so connected, many of us feel a sense of discomfort, anxiety, or awkwardness when faced with even the most casual of conversations. We fear being judged, saying the wrong thing, or simply not knowing what to do with our hands while speaking. Social awkwardness can lead to overthinking, withdrawal, and even avoidance of situations that could be enjoyable or beneficial. But what if there was a way to not only manage these feelings, but to embrace social interaction as an opportunity for growth and learning? The Stoics, ancient philosophers who focused on cultivating wisdom and resilience, offered insights that are more relevant today than ever before. In particular, two great Stoic thinkers, Epictetus and Seneca, provided timeless advice on how to deal with the discomfort of social settings and transform it into calm self-assurance. In this video, we'll explore their teachings and how you can apply them to your life to master social awkwardness. Let's face it, social situations can feel like a minefield of potential awkward moments. You walk into a room full of people, and suddenly, all those inner voices start popping up. What if I say something stupid? What if I make a bad impression? What if they don't like me? Sound familiar? This fear of judgment can spiral into social anxiety, which makes even simple interactions feel overwhelming. We end up either freezing up, overthinking every word, or overcompensating by trying too hard to impress others. It's exhausting and leaves us feeling defeated. Here are a few common scenarios where social awkwardness tends to rear its head: fear of judgment. You worry others will criticize or dislike you for what you say or do. Anxiety in new settings. Walking into an unfamiliar social environment can make you feel out of place or exposed. Desire for approval. You try to mold your behavior to meet others' expectations, even at the cost of being authentic. Overanalyzing. After a conversation, you might replay it in your head, analyzing every little detail, wondering if you said the right thing. At the root of all these challenges is one core issue: we're focused on things outside of our control. And this is where Stoicism provides a powerful shift in perspective. Now let's dive into the Stoic principles that can change the way you approach these situations. Stoicism isn't about detaching from emotions entirely. Instead, it's about mastering them by focusing on what you can control and letting go of the rest. 1. Focus on what you can control. Epictetus. Epictetus, one of the most prominent Stoic philosophers, famously said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." In social situations, what do we tend to focus on? Things outside our control, like, how will people respond to us? Will they like me? Will they think I'm interesting? How others perceive us? Am I coming across as awkward? Are they judging me? But here's the truth: no matter how hard we try, we can't control other people's thoughts or reactions. According to Epictetus, the only thing we truly control is our own mindset and response. So how can this Stoic principle help with social awkwardness? Picture this: you're at a party, and you're about to join a conversation. Instead of worrying about whether people will like what you have to say, focus on how you carry yourself. Shift your focus inward, to what you can control: your posture, your tone of voice, your attentiveness. Recognize that your self-worth isn't determined by the approval of others. When you focus on your own responses, the fear of judgment fades. Practical tip: the next time you're in a social situation, remind yourself that you control your reactions and how you choose to engage. Let go of the need for external validation. 2. Shift your perspective. Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, had a profound insight: we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Think about that for a moment. How often do we build up social anxiety in our minds, imagining every possible thing that could go wrong? We visualize the awkward silence, the embarrassing slip-up, or the cold shoulder from others. And yet, when we actually face the situation, it's rarely as bad as we feared. Seneca teaches us that much of our suffering is self-inflicted. We create these worst-case scenarios in our heads, and in doing so, we amplify our anxiety. The Stoic way is to challenge these irrational fears by asking ourselves if they're truly grounded in reality. For example, let's say you're worried about starting a conversation with someone new. Instead of imagining a negative outcome, reframe the situation. What's the worst that could realistically happen? Will this moment matter in a week, a month, or a year from now? Seneca reminds us that most people are far more focused on their own thoughts and insecurities than on judging us. This simple shift in perspective can help you realize that the stakes aren't as high as you think. Practical tip: when you feel social anxiety building up, take a deep breath and ask yourself, is this as bad as my mind is making it seem? Challenge the story you're telling yourself and focus on what's real, not imagined. Perhaps the most transformative idea from Stoicism comes from Epictetus, who said, "It is not events themselves that disturb us, but our interpretation of them." This single insight can revolutionize how you approach social interactions. Imagine this: you're at a social event, and someone interrupts you while you're speaking. Normally, this might make you feel embarrassed or flustered. But if you apply Epictetus' wisdom, you'll realize that the interruption itself isn't the problem, it's how you interpret it. Instead of seeing the interruption as a personal slight or a sign that your words weren't valued, you can choose to interpret it differently. Maybe the person didn't realize they interrupted, or maybe the conversation naturally shifted. By changing how you interpret the event, you can stay calm and confident, rather than feeling awkward or rejected. This is the heart of Stoic wisdom, recognizing that you control your interpretation of events, and by doing so, you control your emotional response. So, how do we master social awkwardness with Stoic wisdom? It starts by focusing on what we can control: our reactions, our behavior, and our interpretation of events. Epictetus reminds us that we cannot control how others perceive us, but we can control how we engage. Seneca teaches us that most of our anxiety comes from our imagination, not reality. By applying these Stoic principles, you can transform social anxiety into calm confidence. The next time you find yourself in an awkward social situation, remember that you have the power to choose your response. Have you ever struggled with social awkwardness? What strategies, Stoic or otherwise, have helped you overcome it? Share your experiences in the comments below, and let's continue the conversation. And if you're interested in exploring more Stoic insights that can help you live a more confident and fulfilling life, make sure to check out our other videos and subscribe to our channel. Until next time, stay Stoic.